Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Extra Gents Scents. I hope you're doing well. It is spring and spring means green. So we're talking fragrances today that have a green feel to them, whether it's because they're very fresh and green and bright or more aromatic and herbaceous. All of these are green in one way or another. And because they're cheap, they won't cost you much green. But yes, green fragrances, that is on the agenda. I have 6 of them actually, not 5. I put a little bonus one in here. Just put 5 in the title, frankly, because it reads better. Top 5, oh yeah, makes sense. Top 6, oh, I don't like that. I'll have each one of these linked in the description below. Let's get it kicked off with the first one, which is the bonus one, I guess, if you want to call it that. Porto Neroli from Maison Alhambra. It is just egregiously copying Tom Ford. This is just as aggressive as you can possibly get. Yes, this is a bit of a dupe, isn't it? So this is Maison Alhambra's version of Neroli Portofino, obviously. A lot of white florals in here, so it's gonna give you a citrusy freshness, really clean as well. And the quality here is very, very good. So Maison Alhambra has some of the better Tom Ford private blend dupes on the market. So if you're looking for some private blend clones inspired by dupes, knockoffs, whatever you want to call them, Maison Alhambra has some pretty good ones. I would say for the most part, Maison Alhambra and then Fragrance World do the best private blend versions. They all have this like similar bottle style and everything. So yeah, Porto Neroli, very similar to Neroli Portofino, and a really good cheap green-ish fragrance. It's like right next to green. Has also a nice, almost like soapy cleanliness to it. Again, smells really nice. When you spray this on, it does not have any of that funk or that chemical off-putting feel that some cheaper alternatives, cheaper clones can have. After that, let's talk about this. L'Homme Rochas, Aromatic Touch. Now to my own personal taste, L'Homme Rochas in the blue bottle is a better fragrance than Aromatic Touch. Both of these are cheap, but Aromatic Touch is going to be obviously the greener of the two, in case you couldn't tell by the bottle. Yeah. Now I know I said I like the original L'Homme Rochas more, but for the price point that you can pick this up for nowadays, 30 bucks, sometimes a little bit under, it's actually a really solid pickup. So off the top you have olibanum and apple, and the apple actually smells very nice. It's got a nice crispness to it, a little bit sweet, very fresh, but it's not just apple off the top. There's also pineapple, so that's gonna give you some additional sweetness as well, and makes the opening here smell very pleasant. As it dries down, you get some patchouli, sandalwood, geranium, and ambroxan. So you get a nice woodiness in there. The aromatics here, as the fragrance would lead you to believe, are also going to be a focal point of the fragrance, which would make sense. Again, Aromatic Touch is the flanker name. This one came out in 2022. We did not get a L'Homme flanker last year in 2023, so maybe we'll have one this year. And it would make sense if that's the case, because the original L'Homme Rochas came out in 2020, so you had that one in 2020, nothing in 2021, then this in 2022, nothing in 2023. We're due a flanker. And this does also have some slight similarities to Lalique's L'Insoumis, which is another good, inexpensive fragrance as well, and if you like that one, you'll probably like this as well. Let's see, after that, let's do this one, Azzaro Cologne Intense. This, I feel like, is kind of an under the radar, underrated hidden gem kind of deal. I was trying to think of a third word with under that would have made sense there and completely blanked. Under the sheets? No. Depending on where you shop, you can sometimes find this one for even under $25. I believe Joma Shop, as of this video, has it for a little bit under that. So like I said, really, really affordable, this one. Note breakdown here, very simple. Lime, lavender, mastic. That is it. So when you first spray this on, you're gonna get a very nice citrusy pop, very attention grabbing. The quality smells actually much higher than you would expect for a sub $25 Azzaro. I said that like I was disgusted by Azzaro. I'm sorry, Azzaro, I didn't mean it. You're fine, you're good. The lavender, very clean here. Classically masculine the way that it comes across, and this is a perfect scent for spring and summer. Not anything too crazy, nothing too complex, just an appealing citrus lavender combo fragrance. And for this type of fragrance, the performance is actually okay also. I mean, it's called Cologne Intense, so I guess you would hope that it has at least decent performance, and it does. So this one, have to include, and this is actually one of my favorites of everything that's in today's list, actually. Let's switch things up a little bit. The next fragrance is not as straight up green as these are. It's Tommy Bahama's St. Barts Seascape. This one you can also find for under $30 at discounters. At full retail, I think Macy's has it right around 80, just under 80, something like that. So again, shop at discounters, at least for these. So this is gonna be more on the sweet aromatic side of things. It has sage in there off the top. You also have bergamot in here, you have lavender, tonka, some woody notes, but again, it's going to be more on the sweet side of things. But even though it is on that sweet side of things, it's also still very fresh, and as you would expect from a Tommy Bahama St. Barts flanker, has a bit of an aquatic feel to it also. It does come across to me more synthetic than the other fragrances that we're going to talk about. That's going to be mainly because, again, of that sweetness that you pick up from the sage, from the tonka especially. But don't take that as it smells bad, because it doesn't. It's really easy to wear, very appealing. Let's switch it up once again and go with Lucky You. Now this one is very, 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 very cheap. Okay, the cheapest of the bunch. And, you know, to an extent, it does smell like the cheapest of the bunch also. A lot of you out there are gonna see this fragrance and be like, oh, flashback. You know, I used to wear that back in the day when I went to high school or whatever. A lot of people had this one and wore it as one of their first signature scents. It's that type of fragrance for a bunch of people because, again, it's cheap, it's pretty easy to find, and also pretty easy to wear. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Lucky You can compare with a lot of the fragrances that have come out over the past decades, but it still is a serviceable, cheap scent for a lot of people, and for a number of people out there, as I've just talked about, it's gonna have kind of a nostalgia factor to it. It's like certain generations have certain fragrances that are nostalgic for a lot of people. So for some people that would be Curve, Liz Claiborne's Curve, or Candies, for example, or even Dracar Noir, Adidas, just a lot of different fragrances. And Lucky falls into that category for a bunch of guys out there. So this has some grassy notes, some florals, cardamom, woods in there as well. It's not a beast of projection. This is an eau de cologne, I believe. Oh, I can't even, it's so small. Oh no, cologne spray, that's right. That's how most of the fragrances back then would do it, cologne spray. So you can go really heavy with this. I mean, you can just load yourself down, just, you know, bathe in it. Soapy, clean, green, fresh. Lucky You. It's one of those scents that, you know, costs next to nothing. And I do think it's going to appeal more to guys at this point, probably middle-aged and up, which is saying something because when this came out, right at the turn of the century, 2000 is when this fragrance dropped. This was something that younger guys wore. But if you smell it now, I would say because it's not as sweet as a lot of scents coming out nowadays, like I said, it's probably one that more like middle-aged guys would go for. Interesting how things change like that. Last but not least, Match Point from Lacoste. This is the eau de toilette. There's also an eau de parfum and a cologne, and I think the cologne is really good. This one's just a few ticks below 40 bucks at discounters, and you may be able to find it for even less than that. Lacoste typically not all that expensive. So you have basil in here, again, gonna give you some of that aromatic feel, little herbaceousness, that green aspect right off the top, which you would expect. I mean, you know, the whole thing is green and it's from Lacoste. You have grapefruit in there, some fresh spice, and a good amount of cashmere as the fragrance dries down. Gives it a little bit of fuzziness, touch of warmth, really appealing, very easy to wear, super versatile. So this one, herbal, green, fresh, clean, and a little bit classy, as you would expect, again, from Lacoste. Gets overlooked, it's very affordable, and I think the quality for the price point is there. If you're looking for a fresher take on this that's not quite as green, go for Match Point Cologne. Like I said, that one really nice actually, and kind of a hidden gem once again. So Match Point, gonna wrap this one up. There's some green scents that don't cost all that much. Some of them are crazy, stupid, super cheap, but all of these are really affordable. I wanna thank you all for hanging with me. Thank you for your support, guys. And I will see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later. Have a good spring, unless you're in the Southern Hemisphere, and then have a good fall, I guess.